What is going on, Stonebladers? Today we got a great matchup against the Legacy, I like to say Primeval Titan deck, however you want to say it. It's like a combination of lands plus being able to do some other cool things that lands does, like getting out Dark Depths. They use the, was it Elvish Safekeeper? I think that's the name. They use a lot of the other stuff, a lot of the other cards that lands normally would play. I've seen this deck before when I've watched other people play it. This is the first time playing against it. Actually, I take that back. It's the second time playing against it. First time I beat it, that was a while ago. So I'm not all that familiar, but I get the idea of what this deck is trying to do. I think that we are slightly favored in this matchup. We have a lot of removal. Having back to basics helps, and I think them trying to deal with True-Name is going to be pretty challenging. They were also on a slightly different build from what it looks like. I'm not sure if all these types of builds play Ancient Tomb, but I guess they use that to ramp. Maybe they do just because they got Primeval Titan in there. Either way, we are on the draw with card advantage, but not anymore because this hand sucks. There's no lands. There's no lands. There's still no lands. So we are giving it a mulligan. This is much better, at least for a hand that can do stuff. We got a lot of cantrips. We have plenty of mana. And of course, when we throw a card back, it's obviously going to be the True-Name. Just kidding. Making sure you're paying attention. It's the Ponder. We got 3 of them. Sure. Cabal Therapy, Ponder. Okay. I said Elvish Safekeeper. I'm thinking of that other Safekeeper card that like makes your Dark Depths never get Swords to Plowshares. That's Sylvan Safekeeper. This is Elvish Reclaimer. That's the card I was thinking of. Okay, anyway, so there it is. At first I thought they played this or whatever. I think they had a Mox Diamond first, but then I saw this. I'm like, please not Elves. Elves is a tough matchup to say the least. For some odd reason, I went through the walkthrough, and I have to click the play button a ton of times, so bear with me. That's going to happen throughout the match, because what I do is sometimes the replays will be screwed up, and the last thing I want to do is like record for 40 minutes and then get to the grand finale and it just freezes. Some games have done that I really wanted to do a walkthrough of, but so keep that in mind. It's going to be a little fidgety. Either way, we're not playing an island into Wasteland here, so we're going to play Flooded Strand. We're going to crack that for an island. We're going to play a Flooded Strand MTGO, right? Maybe? No? There we go. There we go. And Ponder. So I'm going to click a little slow around these areas. So first and foremost, let's take a look at our Brainstorms and our Ponders as we always do. This is going to be an overall great card against this deck, given the fact that they have this out doesn't help, and this, because if they see it, obviously they can play around it. If they already have one form of the combo in terms of Dark Depths or Thespian Stage, it's not going to be as great because once they have one out, they can get the other. But depending on when we play this, either way, it's a card I want to have. I believe what I did here was Snapcaster on top, and then back to basics on top, and then Brainstorm, just in case they have any discard. Like I said, I'm not 100% familiar with this deck. Maybe they have it, maybe they don't, but just in case I wanted to keep that around and save it. So a Snapcaster should be back to basics, yes. And then we have Brainstorm on top, which we're going to draw. I like Brainstorm because we have a lot of cards here that we can get rid of, mainly this. And this isn't that bad late game should they play, not play, but there's the Dark Depths. So they pretty much have the combo going to be set up. But sometimes people play this improperly and you can bounce it with Jace. It doesn't happen often, but it's happened more than enough times. Or if you're above 20 life, you can take a hit, play Jace, and then bounce it. So it's not the worst card to have. Let's play Flooded Strand and do nothing. Sure. Thespian Stage, one would guess. So they have the combo right here. And no attack. Okay. So that's good. Usually if they're not going to attack, they're probably going to be more of on the defensive side. So what I want to do here is Brainstorm. Got to use up our mana. We need removal, and we need it yesterday. Let's look at our cards as we always do. Okay, so first and foremost, I don't want a Volk, okay, because Wasteland. And aside from that, another card that I'm probably not going to want here, it's either going to be, actually there's a lot of options. Ponder is good. Maybe, I don't know if I want it, because if I can't play Stoneforge right now, so I might have thrown that back, because literally if I crack this and I play Stoneforge and I don't have a Plains up, they're going to win. So it might have been Volk and Stoneforge. One of them is definitely going to be Volk, and it might be Jace, because I might not be needing that now, but it could be used later. Or it could be True-Name, given the fact I'm not going to be tapping out for that as well. So I wasn't sure if they're going to go for the combo, but you know, you just got to do what you got to do when you got to find your cards. So now that I think of it, it might have been Volk and True-Name. Okay. Despite the fact that True-Name is great, we can't play that, otherwise we lose. So it's just what we got to do. Here what we want to do is play Ponder first. And we have crap. Okay, we don't need another fetch land. Snapcaster has nothing to get us. We already have one. And Teferi isn't going to do any help. We can like bounce this and then they, you know, do their combo and win. So we want to throw these back. And that's not bad. I think I played an island. Yes. And then play Stoneforge and lose the game. So our quest to find removal. And wait. Look at that. They're still not going for the combo, right? Wait, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yeah, I mean, they had it. It's funny, like, they were playing very defensively, which works for us, obviously. They could have just won the game a few times. What do they have here? Okay. Here we go with the play button. Come on, you can do it. Oh, I brainstorm in response. Anyway, so what I wanted to do, just in case, I was looking to counter that because I need to find removal. That's my first biggest thing, and by them playing this means they're just going to keep beating me down. So even if I don't find removal, I'm eventually going to lose to those. So in this scenario, we already know the card that I picked is going back. Since we brainstorm on their turn, what's going to happen is the card that we put on top first is the one we're not going to get. So it really doesn't matter the other card we want to put on top unless you're like hiding something. So keep that in mind. It was Narset and then whatever else card. If they were playing discard, you would want to hide your best card on top. Sure. Okay, I played Flooded Strand. And then I shuffled because I didn't want a Narset. In hindsight, I should have gotten a, what's the word? An island here. I already had a plains in my hand, and I mean, I could already cast councils. I wasn't sure why I did that, but that should have been an island because I need many more islands at this point. So let's ponder. And still, we have yet to find any type of removal. It's funny because I shuffled, right? And then there's Narset once again, right on top. Once again, Snapcaster can do any of these, but I already have a Snapcaster. Spell Pierce is doing nothing. And there's that. And oh yeah, back to basics. So the reason I played back to basics here is to at least slow them down. Like, I can afford to tap out because they can't use their combo. It's at least going to tap these, and I know they can play lands from here, so it's slowing them down. And pretty much I didn't have anything else to do at that time, so you just got to play the cards as you get them. Okay, so they got that. That's fine. Poking me for 2. Okay, that's not bad. So first thing, what I want to do here is just brainstorm. I do have a fetch. I can get rid of some other cards, so let's brainstorm. And remember, I can't play Jace here or I lose. And I still need removal, so that's the most important thing. And I've still yet to find solid removal in the form of swords. My goodness, let's see. We had 1 ponder, 1 brainstorm, 1 ponder, 1 brainstorm. We had 3 ponders in 2 brainstorms, and we haven't found the swords. That's insane. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Anyway, let's look at this once again. So Plains is definitely going back because I can always at least fetch that to get rid of it. And probably I might have gotten rid of a Plains and a Stoneforge or a Plains and an Arid Mesa. Okay, so definitely a Plains. So I think, let's see, probably Arid Mesa. Yes, okay, so I was correct on that one. Let's put that there. Now, I was planning on, what was I planning on doing? I was planning on Snapcaster Brainstorm, so I shouldn't have cracked it there. There was just, I didn't think it through all the way. The reason I'm doing this now, in case they have a Bojuka Bog, and even if they do have a Bojuka Bog, I could have done it to the, I could have Snapcastered in response to the Bojuka Bog trigger. Either way, that's the reason why I did that there. Making sure I keep my plains open, obviously. And still haven't found the swords. Holy crap. Wait, so that was 3 ponders. That was 2 brainstorms and another one right here. So that's 3 brainstorms and 3 ponders. Wow. That's crazy. Anyway, I completely just Forgot to talk about that, but I believe it was a Council's Judgment and maybe another Council's Judgment. Either way, I'm going to be drawing one of those. Those aren't good when they're not instant speed. So the fact of the matter that I haven't found removal, now they're just getting to this plan of attacking and winning eventually with this and these two. The funny thing is I still have yet to have a Swords the entire game, which means I am alive probably 4 turns too many at this point. I'm not complaining about it either, though. It's good. Okay, so we knew about that. Here what I want to do, I believe, is Brainstorm, and I can use Stoneforge as a shuffle effect. Oh my god, we found one. Can you believe it? It's amazing. Wow. Unfortunately, not too many blue cards. So, obviously, we're going to need that. I think what I got rid of here was probably a Council's. I'm not sure if I kept 2 Councils. It could either go either way. I wanted to keep 2 Stoneforges, I believe, because I got to start getting in with Batterskull, so if they removed one. But I believe it was a Council's, either 2 Councils or Councils and an Arid Mesa. Those are kind of the cards we're not going to be needing. I do have a shuffle effect. Okay, so I got rid of the redundant copies. That works too. That actually ends up making a pretty big deal. Not a huge deal, but you'll see. Batterskull. Oh, Swords. Okay, and I thought about, what's the word? Forcing that, because it was kind of a big deal, because I need to get Batterskull in. I chose not to. I knew at that point the fact that it took me 7 turns and 6 ponders, or 3 brainstorms and 3 ponders to find removal, I was kind of in trouble. I mean, it was just like digging through my library the entire time. I didn't really get to make a board presence aside from this, which they can play around. So here, let's see. Did I Snapcaster? I might have Snapcaster Brainstormed here. I might have. Like at the end of the turn, that is. Nope. I played Batterskull. Okay, that works too. I think that was the reasoning why I threw back my other Stoneforge, because I had enough mana to at least hardcast it, should I need to. And this, we are definitely forcing. So at this moment, it's going to be force pitching Jace, simply for the fact that Snap can, once I use my Swords to Plowshares, I can always get that back. Opponent was very good. You could tell by the way they played, their well thought out lines, and so on and so forth. I was probably maybe a turn or 2 away from turning the corner. It just started getting out of hand with the Field of Dead. Okay, so unfortunately, when we do combat math here, I have to crack this in order to kill this. That brings me to 3. And then I take 2, 4, 6, 7, and I gain 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. I lose 1 from cracking that, and I die exactly at 0. So that, unfortunately, I lost this one, just the way it is. But that was a really weird game. 3 ponders and 3 brainstorms. I couldn't find a single Swords to Plowshares. That's just the way it works sometimes. But either way, that was game number 1. Let's move on to sideboarding for game number 2. Alright, so first and foremost, when it comes to playing against, I guess, Primeval Titan Legacy deck, sure, we want our other copy of Back to Basics. Force of Negation is going to be a maybe. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure with how they sideboard, and even if, you know, you look at a standard deck like this, everyone can always sideboard differently. Are they playing Choke? I don't think I saw blue in there, so it's a possibility if you want to play against something like that. Clique is definitely a possibility. I'm trying to think of... I mean, it does trade with Merit Lage to get you another turn. Obviously, taking a card out of their hand isn't bad. Either way, that's kind of maybe-ish. Containment Priest is great. They do have Green Sun's Zenith. I am bringing in Disenchant. They'll probably have Sylvan Library. They might have Choke. At least that's going to come in for that. Rest in Peace is great. They use that when it comes to getting their lands and Loam and all that other stuff. You can bring in 1 Surgical if you want. That's going to be up to you. Obviously, these aren't the greatest in the world. It's usually you got to use them to your advantage based upon when you draw them. Like if you use Rest in Peace and you draw this later, it's not the biggest deal in the world because shutting off their graveyard can really help. Either way, I wasn't sure what they have for 2 drops. Thinking back at it now, I can't think of too many. Either way, Path to Exile is going to be good. So those are the ones I want. Then, of course, the cards that we don't want here. I'm going to be taking out Volk. They play lots of Wastelands from what I remember. Do they? Maybe, I think, right? Okay. Narset. This will stop Sylvan Library, but I don't think that's great enough to use in that scenario. Aside from that, I do like removal when it comes to councils. I might have trimmed on one Jace, and then one other card could simply be, these are great here. Might have been maybe a Spell Pierce or Spell Snare. Once again, not too familiar with all their cards that could be coming in. So pretty much I took these out right here and brought these in. Okay, so that's pretty much how it's going to be for games 2 and 3. Although I might have switched Jace depending on if I'm on the play or the draw. But either way, that's kind of how I assembled when it comes to playing against this deck. So let's move now to game numero dos. All right, so game number 2, we're going to be on the play. And I really like this hand. We have land. We have Ponders to find other stuff. We have Force of Will in case they have some type of Haymaker like Choke or anything else we got to deal with. And I like this. So pretty much turn 1 is going to be playing Flooded Strand, cracking it for an island, and then playing Ponder. And very similar to game 1, they actually mulliganed, but to 5. Okay, I mulliganed to 6, I believe, but we've both had our fair share of mulligans. Okay, island, Ponder. Okay, so this is literally like a mirror reflection of my hand. Like true name, snap, force, no. I was about to click on any order. That's pretty much how that belongs, any order. Not the worst, but I do want some type of action. Like a plow. Plows are good. We didn't get to see any of those after seeing how many cards in the last game. If someone wants to count how many cards we saw in order to finally get a Swords, that would be kind of amusing. Feel free to if you want, okay? All right, so Polluted Delta, more land. So what I want to do here first is just Island, Ponder. I'm pretty much looking for removal. I'm pretty much looking for the play button to work as well. Usually. 1 time, 2 times. There we go. Okay, so not bad. What I want here is Swords, so it doesn't matter how I do everything else. And I want to get rid of this right away because next turn this can untap and they can start, if they already have 1 piece of the combo, that's not going to be good. So probably just, yeah, whatever, Tundra, Swords. Here's also important, since I want to get a Plains in this mana base with my fetches, which you can see them all right here, you want to use Arid Mesa. This is the weakest fetch. This specifically, when I'm looking to get basic lands, this is just going to get Plains. This can get Plains too, but this is more powerful. You want to save these for the end simply because they offer you the ability to get, obviously, a island or Plains. So we're playing Arid Mesa here. We're plowing this here. Like I said, I don't want this person to be able to activate it, and then we pass the turn. So I'm not sure if this is how these Primeval Titan decks play. Sure. My guess is yes, because it helps get them out quicker. Okay, that's not bad at all. Play button. Work with me. Broken record. Come on, there we go. Okay, so here I'm looking to get an island, so I'm not playing Flooded Strand. Once again, I'm saving this, so it's going to be Polluted Delta, and I want to crack this. I want to get rid of this simply because if I don't get rid of it now, it's going to pretty much just eat all of this. First, it's going to eat my Swords, which isn't good, and then it's going to move on to the rest of my graveyard. Plus, I'm not going to have any way of dealing with it aside from playing True Name and just staring at it. So, Polluted Delta, crack, get an island. Polluted Delta, MTGO. Work with me here. You're making me look bad. Come on, there we go. There we go. So obviously you got to tap blue here because we need white for Swords. Very important. I've seen that before where it's like, okay, I'm going to Swords to Plowshare, and you tap like Island and Plains, and you're like, crap. Now I have to Ponder main phase. Let's get rid of it now. Sure. We got hopefully not something I want to counter because, okay, that's not the worst in the world. They can have it. I don't want to counter that. But I do want it to resolve MTGO, while I'm still young here. Wait for it. There we go. Okay, that wasn't a bad draw. So I can play True Name and kind of just sit there. It also said you may play an additional land on each of your turns. They didn't play an additional land, which tells me that they probably don't have any other lands. Either way, I don't mind playing Council's Judgment here. What I can do is get rid of this and still start attacking in. Given the fact that I had a True Name, I'm kind of the beatdown here, given the nature of my hand. Assuming that I don't force pitch True-Name to something. I'm just trying to like click and talk at the same time and it's being all fidgety. Okay, now we can attack. The coast is clear, Snapcaster. Go get him. Fight him for 2. Nothing? That's perfect. That's not really perfect. Let's attack first. Let's play good magic. Okay, the reason why you want to attack here, I learned this from playing Merfolk so much, okay, especially with the True Name, and it really comes into play. Let's say the game is coming down to a, it's close, there's not a lot of life for each opponent, and every single attack matters. What happens here, if I play True Name first, and they have a swords in their hand, and then I go to attack, they're like, well, my swords clearly isn't going to work on True Name, and by plowing this Snapcaster, it allows me to live an extra turn. Okay, you see what I mean? And I know this deck does play swords, and given the fact that they don't have swords mana open, that does come up sometimes, and that can, bypass a whole nother turn. Plus, when you do that, I didn't play a land, so it looks like maybe I didn't draw anything to further enhance my board. I might not have anything else, but I do. So you're giving them the least amount of information. It's kind of like playing an instant on someone else's turn in a similar fashion that you're waiting till the last chance possible to play it, which is going to be your second main phase. Now we can play our land. Now we can do Island, Plains, and play True Name. This is good because, they don't want to. They don't like True Name. Apparently, we were on the beatdown plan, so that was a 3-turn clock. Plus, we had the ability to spell pierce something if we wanted. Maybe if they played a Green Sun Zenith, and then aside from that, we can actually hard cast Force next turn. So we had some pretty good cards there, even though they looked like duds. So that was game 2. We don't need to talk about sideboarding. It's just going to flip flop when it comes to the play and draw. We're on the draw because we won, of course. So let's move to game number 3. Alright, so on the draw, this hand isn't all that bad. First and foremost, it's weird because we only have an island, but we do have Island Ponder and we're on the draw, which means we're going to see an extra card. So not only do we get the draw to see a card, then we have Ponder to see 3 to look for more lands, and we can even shuffle that, which would be another 4th card. And that means we still have the next turn, which would be a 5th card to see another land. I like my chances when it comes to that, despite the fact that this is kind of like a dead card. Not a dead card, but it could be like a mulligan card. This is great against them, especially if they're going to be playing Green Suns. It's also a nice beater. It's kind of like I bring this in Storm because second turn, if they're not doing anything, I'm playing this and I'm attacking their life total, pressuring them. This, obviously, we know what it does. This is great because I have Path To Exile, so that goes hand in hand with that. So while it's probably not the most powerful hand at surface level, I like where it's at. And you know me, if you watch any of my game plans, I try not to mulligan as much as possible. I'd rather kind of work my way through this, semi-decent-ish hand than throw it back, work with one less card, and then do it that way. So, Island Ponder, Island Ponder, Island Ponder, play, play, play. I don't want to click it too fast because then it just like goes schizo. There we go. One more. Perfect. Okay. So this isn't all that bad. I actually like it the way it is. So like I talked about, I'm not sure if they play Choke or they have any other types of haymakers. So I want Force of Negation first. So remember, I did talk about this, whether I played it or not. There you go. I did play it. So what I want to do here is do Ponder on top, then Polluted Delta on top, and then Force, literally the exact same way you see it. So the reason why I do this is Force of Negation can be in my hand. I have a blue card to pitch it to, which means I am protected from some stupid haymaker. Then after that, I can get Polluted Delta, and I can choose to crack it for a Plains, should I want to play a Containment Priest, should I want to use a Path To Exile. I'm probably not going to use Stoneforge, which means I'm tapping out on my turn, and I don't like doing that. And even if I don't want to crack it, I have a Ponder after, so this is actually pretty good. A lot of thought that goes into these Ponders and Brainstorms. They're very important. It all depends on how you play it. Like, some people right here would be like, I don't care about Force of Negation. What's the worst they can have? And they have something, I'll tell you that. Okay, a Trinity Sphere, and I am glad that I had to get that Force of Negation, or I chose to get it. So this card isn't the worst in the world, but you saw what my draws were. So I am going to be getting a Polluted Delta next, which means I can't do anything on turn 2. And then turn 3, like that's when I literally got to wait to do anything. So I pretty much have to Force of Negation this. I mean, I can't even Force of Negation anything next turn. And plus 3 mana for all of these, that's going to make my life really tough. It might hurt them a little too, but definitely not as much as me. So this is a pretty easy Force of Negation right here. MTGO, a pretty easy Force of Negation, right? There it goes. It disappeared. Cool. You get some killer commentary while you're at it. Thank you, MTGO. You're my hero. I'm just kidding. Let's play Polluted Delta. Reason why I want to play that is in case they play a Green Sun Zenith. We have Containment Priest open, and even if they don't play anything, I could play that, or I can choose to get my Ponder. That's the cool thing with Ponder and fetches. It's like it's setting yourself up for, will I want this card based upon what my opponent plays, or will I not? Like, you have the option to decide. That's always a good thing, because think about it, you're in control that way. The bad thing is that if you put a card on top with Ponder and you're like, yeah, I think I'll need that, and you don't crack it or you forget what's on top, that's how you time walk yourself. That's why Ponder and Brainstorm can be challenging to play right, because when you play them incorrectly, like, you can really lose. Unfortunately, I have nothing that I can do against that. So be it. And I do want to actually use Containment Priest here. The reason is because next turn I can always play Stoneforge, and then I will have another mana up depending on what I get. But either way, since they have this, I want to start pressuring their life. Not only if they want to pay 4 to get a card and they want to use this, they're going to be using up their life pretty quickly. So let's get to Containment Priest. I could have sworn I just shuffled you away. Okay, so hopefully I attacked first. Thank you. As we talked about, even though they can't really do anything that I can think of for 2 colorless. Island, Ponder. In perfect unison. Okay, this is great. So Counterspell I definitely want on the top. The reason is simple. I haven't played a land yet, so when I do, I can play Island and I have Counterspell up. This is good. This is how we control the board, even just with a little measly 2/2. After that is going to be interesting. For example, it could be just like this, which is what I did: Snapcaster, Polluted Delta, and Counterspell. And the reason for that is I just wanted to have a land drop on my other turn. However, if I did Polluted Delta and then Snapcaster and then Counterspell, that means I could have, like, what could I do? I could do Ponder, you know, but Snapcaster, Ponder. I didn't think I really wanted that, so it was Snapcaster, Delta, Counterspell. This is good because it's going to drag the game out in terms of me countering stuff, them not, you know, advancing their board. And let's see. I can counterspell this, or I can simply just Path to Exile. I believe I went with Counterspell. MTGO. I believe I went with Counterspell. There you go. That's fine. And the good thing is that we are the beatdown here once again. This becomes even better given the fact that they're not going to gain any life should I path someone. No one ever talks about the upside. They're like, oh, it's so horrible. They get a Plains. But yeah, how many times have you actually played this on a Merit Lage and they didn't gain any life? That can definitely change the game. We knew that was there. Once again. Then we play our land. Okay, I don't want to play Stoneforge here. Having a Snapcaster is going to be very powerful. We want to hope that they play any... Like, I probably could have played a Jitte out there. It would have been a little suspicious if I didn't equip it. That's why I didn't. So I wanted to keep my mana open. Although at this point, they're probably just playing whatever they have. I don't think they're going to be too scared about it. That's great. They lost 2 more life. This is perfect. Once again, we can path that on their turn. Let them have the extra... What's the word? Land, but we need all of our land to be able to cast Snapcaster and Counterspell. Come on. Wait to move to the end. Path. Beautiful. Otherwise, that would have been 3 extra life, and that would have completely changed the entire aspect of this game. No shuffle. Let's attack. Look at how much work Containment Priest is doing. You know they're reprinting this in 2021? There's also like this fancy, what's it called? I think borderless one with the different art. I like the art. I'm not crazy on the borderless aspect, but the art is pretty cool. If you're a Containment Priest fan, you might want to consider that for your sideboard. If you're not using it, the alternate art. Okay, so this would be one of those... this damn crop rotation, I swear, this card gets me every time. This is one of those, from having a lack of experience, it's tough to know exactly what they're going to get. They could get Field of the Dead, which means they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would need a few more for that. I mean, maybe they have a Maze of Ith. Maybe they have... you know, what else is going to really kill me here? Maybe that mountain that when it comes into play does 3 damage. Either way, I didn't want to be surprised by anything either. That was a really good bluff just to get me to counter it, or it was something that could have definitely won or lost the game, you know. So let's just counter this. This also gets Snapcaster on board, which means they have to play a creature, or if they don't play a creature, simply plow one of mine. So they get some nice selection out of this, but I don't think they've ever paid for life simply because they use this a few times, and Containment Priest has been beaten down. Okay, cool. Unfortunately, though, we don't have an extra plains. It's amazing. We never really got a whole lot of land outside from those two, and we had to fetch for them. Good thing they didn't have a wasteland, although I don't think we've seen any wastelands from them, so that's that. Either way, the option we have here... What I could do is I could play Jitte, attach it to Snapcaster and attack. If this person blocks, I can always just kill it. However, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I definitely don't want to attack with this because this can certainly stop them from doing something insane, especially if they have a green sun. So this needs to stay on the board. With all that being said, I felt that the best option here was going to be just to play Stoneforge. Okay, we got Batterskull. We talked about the attacks or the lack of attacks. Oh, Light from the Loam. All right, so they got the, yes, that back, and they played that as well. Okay, so that's 5 different names, and they need 7, right? If you control 7 or more. So 2 more, and they're going to start pooping out zombies. Fun. Come on. You can do it. Come on. I don't want to go too trigger happy on the play button because like this is the big part of the game, you know, where it's coming to a close. The grand finale. There we go. Okay. Whew, look, a brainstorm. All right, you know how I'm big on casting brainstorms when you specifically need to. This is a really good spot because we need something. Actually, a plow isn't the best in the world, but land. Teferi to bounce this, attack with everyone. We have so many options here. Just the plains in order to get rid of this, and then I could do 3 damage to them. Either way, that means they couldn't crack any lands. I could find another creature. Either way, let's brainstorm. And talk about brainstorms being extremely important. Unfortunately, I didn't hit a land, which was very odd. The first game, I didn't see really any removal. This one, I didn't see a whole lot of land, but, you know, I guess 4 is going to be doing it here. So the idea here is, while this was Brainstorm, I think about, okay, they're at 4. How can I attack them to put myself in a position to win? I was like, first and foremost, I don't want to attack with this because, like I said, this could really be blocking them from doing something crazy. So I didn't want to attack with that. So I figured if I'm going to be attacking with both of these, okay, I'd attack with Snapcaster, I'd attack with Stoneforge, and pretty much obviously they're going to block and kill this because they'll take only 1. So if I attack them, assuming that gets through for 1, then all I need to do is play True-Name next after the on the main phase, second main phase, and then attack them and hope they don't somehow kill me. I liked my chances when it came to that, so that's pretty much what I did. So in this specific scenario, I believe what I did is put back like Jitte, or Batterskull and Jitte, because I'm going to be attacking with this, or one of these, but let's find out. Let's see, Batterskull and Jitte. Okay, that's cool. Now what I want to do is attack with everyone. Notice how I'm not playing True-Name right away. Like, it gives them more information about what's going to be happening. Obviously, it wouldn't have changed their blocks, but there's going to be plenty of times where once you play a True-Name, like, then maybe they're going to want to be more opt to Swords this, because then they realize that they would be at 4 life instead of 3. Okay, so True-Name. Let's see what opponent can do. It's on them. Oh boy. Waiting for Suhu. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but they're paying cost. Okay, well, that's a start. Something's telling me like, oh boy. Okay. I already know it's going to be that mountain card that deals damage. Okay, so 4 of those. So, did you see that though? The first trigger was going to Containment Priest. Like, they absolutely needed to get rid of that, which justified, was a good reason why I did not attack. So that's going to be 9 to me, putting me at 9. So they did have one all along, okay? That means they're going to get Dryad Arbor. That means that's going to trigger that and that. And it's only going to be able to do 6 damage to me. Whew. That's nice, and they have no cards in hand. That is very, very nice. So originally you might say like, wow, they could have just pointed that other third one not at Containment Priest and at me instead, but they couldn't, because if they didn't kill Containment Priest, they wouldn't have been able to get the Dryad Arbor. So that's the way that worked out, and we're just blocking this. I was just double checking what it says on here, because I know like there's no trample on here, right, or anything funky like that, or like questing beasts where like, you know, creatures don't have protection or whatever. And I just attacked. Didn't want to get fancy. And Peter, the game has ended. That was a super close game. That was a fun game, a crazy game, a wild game, especially that first one. That like, it doesn't always happen that way. I've played games where you're looking for some type of removal, but never after 3 Brainstorms and 3 Ponders. It might have even been more. 2 is pretty much, 2 played out very similar to 3. 3 had more of a big, crazy ending with a lot of stuff going on where they almost won. But I think Ponder and Brainstorm really helped out, despite the fact they didn't find what they were always looking for. But like me keeping the Force of Negation on top really helped to stop the Trinisphere. That would have really slowed me down. Playing this at the right time in order to give a beat down to them, so to speak, plus them losing life on this and this, which mean they couldn't lose too much life on this. All these little micro decisions, I think, helped me to win, and that's kind of how Stoneblade does it. It usually doesn't have these really big advantages. It's just these little micro decisions piled up over time, usually when played properly, will really help you give the higher win percentages. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.